visionary, a change maker, and a force for gender equality in Africa. At the heart of equity and social impact, she has spent her life advocating for the empowerment of women and girls. As the founder of Leading Ladies Africa, she has transformed lives, impacting over 300,000 women, over 80,000 girls, and reaching more than 250 communities across Africa. Her work is rewriting the narrative for African women, breaking down barriers and ensuring leadership is not the exception, but the norm. Named one of the 100 most influential people of African descent by the United Nations, she continues to inspire, educate, and revolutionize the path for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Francesca Uribe, a powerhouse in Nigeria's energy sector, a leader, a disruptor, and a beacon of excellence. From aviation to the power industry, she has carved a path of transformation. As the CEO of Ikeja Electric, she leads the largest electricity distribution network in sub-Saharan Africa. Under her leadership, the company has been named Best Electricity Distribution Company and Most Gender Diverse Utility Company in Nigeria. An alumna of Harvard Business School, she's a trailblazer, a mentor, and a passionate advocate for women in leadership. Might I add, I'm also excited to call her my friend. Today, we shine the spotlight on Folake Shueto. She started with nothing but a dream to help people lead healthier, happier lives. At just 24, she built Nigeria's largest fitness community, Shredder Gang, transforming not just her life, but thousands of others. Recognized as one of Nigeria's 100 most inspiring women, a top female founder in Africa, and an award-winning entrepreneur, she is redefining wellness. From global conferences to national accolades, her voice and impact in fitness and nutrition continue to shape a healthier Africa. Please welcome Bumi George. A media icon, a journalist, a trailblazer in Nigerian television. She's the woman behind Nigeria's #1 breakfast show, Your View, sparking conversations that matter every single day. From politics to social issues, she has mastered the art of fearless journalism, engaging millions across the country. A multi-award winning leader, strategist, and one of the top 25 most influential women in journalism in Africa. Welcome the phenomenal Dr. Mariah Afolabi Brown. International Women's Day has become a global phenomenon. As a matter of fact, this symbolic day has extended to a month-long celebration in many countries, Nigeria inclusive. IWD to some is just a day for celebrations and fanfare, whilst others focus on the global call to action and demand swift and decisive steps to achieving gender parity through policy drives and lobbying. This conversation with 4 female leaders is produced by the Movement Studio in commemoration of IWD 2025. Before I turn to my guests in the studio, I urge you listening to nudge yourself for a minute and ponder on this theme, accelerate action. What does that even mean to you? Let me juggle your mind for a second. IWD was first observed over 100 years ago, 1911 to be precise. Yet, recent data from WEF, World Economic Forum, still suggests it will take 5 generations to reach full gender parity at the current rate of progress. That is the year 2158 to be precise. If that doesn't shock you, then nothing else will. To us at the studio, we lend our voice to the call for increased momentum in addressing systemic biases and barriers in our personal and professional lives. Who better to hold these conversations with than these 4 inspiring leaders who have graciously agreed to share their unique insights and experiences. Ladies, you're most welcome to the Movement Studio.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you all could make it because you I'm sure by now you know we just had a brainwave and we thought, what could we do to make this day special? And I think these conversations have to continue. Do you agree with me?
100%.
And what fascinates me most about your profiles is the fact that you're all leaders in your various spheres, and you still manage to sort of combine the work, combine your advocacy in some cases, combine leading and inspiring the young ones to, just trying to do it all. It's extremely fascinating. I must commend you personally, for what you do. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, great stuff. Francesca,
Hey.
I'm going to start with you. and I'll tell you why I'm picking on you first. Because you have been at the forefront of advocacy with your Leading Ladies, program over the years. What do you think in terms of traction? What do you think you've gained over the years? What challenges have you faced? Share a bit of that with us.
So thank you again, incredible women in the room. So before I start with what I've gained,
Yes.
I think it's important for everyone who's watching to remember what you've shared at the beginning. Gender parity is even further away. Women's leadership is on the rise, but we're seeing an increasing tension between societal, systemic barriers, gender norms that are going against sort of like this goal towards gender parity. So at Leading Ladies Africa, of course, our work, we're really working to advance gender inclusive leadership for African women and girls. And what does that mean? We understand that for communities to go forward, for economies to go forward, you need women leaders consistently. So it's not about swapping out and replacing. We need full benches and full rosters of women in leadership, in government, in politics, in policy, in health, in business. And so we've seen a lot of impact at Leading Ladies Africa. So if we talk about numbers, we've been able to directly impact nearly 400,000 women and girls across Africa.
Amazing.
80,000 girls from underserved communities. So these are people who don't live in Ikoyi, don't even live in Surulere, don't have access to mentors except through our organization. But that being said, there is critical and urgent work that needs to be done and that needs to continue to be done for us to collapse these gaps that currently exist.
So these communities you're building, so beyond the Leading Ladies, you see community building as something that would definitely help in terms of advancing the cause. People talk about networking all the time. I'm just trying to, I want you to dig just slightly deeper into this whole essence of networking and community. How will that advancement happen?
Right. So first of all, I have to confess,
Yes.
an introvert.
People
People
who would have thought that?
People don't believe. So I'd rather be sleep at
Yes.
So I dedicate days to sleeping and phones being turned off. But I do think that networking is essential. However, I want to flip that on its head. People think networking means going to events. We're networking now.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We're networking. And so that means women within your sphere, or even men, because they're allies, you can begin to work together to build alliances, to develop programs, develop projects, just do work. It doesn't have, you don't always have to go somewhere. You can start with where you are. You can start on Zoom. You can start on WhatsApp. You can start, people don't like phone calls these days.
Nobody does.
So networking is key, but it also has to be intentional, right? So we're here today. We know why we're here. If we do intend to work together on some level after today, it will be intentional.
Yeah.
It will be purposeful. It will be impactful. And so for me, networking has to be that. It has to be intentional. It has to be purposeful. It has to be impactful to be able to, achieve the goals.
Fantastic. Let me turn to Mariah. And Mariah, you, once again, with your program, your view, you've basically been able to use your platform as one that addresses so many social issues. As a matter of fact, some of your discussions always gain national, prominence. So what social issues relating to gender do you think need the most urgent and direct action?
I
I think it's a conversation we've been having for a long time. It's quite painful that after how many years of these conversations, you're obviously going to be 12 years in May. And after many years of having the conversation, we're still at the same place where we were. Because when we started off the show, there wasn't enough conversation on women. There wasn't enough platforms where women could express themselves. And it's painful and heartbreaking to see that we still have 2.7% representation in the National Assembly. That's in the Senate. And we have 4.7, that's about 17 out of 370, and 3 women out of 190 people in the Senate. It's hard, but even Lagos State is not any better. So you think that when you provide a woman with a platform such as ours, you allow them to express themselves, it opens doors for women to be more, to permit themselves to get into office, to do more. We've seen that growth in the corporate world, but in politics, it's dwindling. In politics, we still need that, the voice of women to be heard. So I think what is most urgent is that all hands must be on deck, including the men. We must carry them along to ensure that they are part of this movement. We can't be talking about women representation only on the side of women. Men need to take action because just like you said earlier, we need a place, not just a table. We need to be real members of the entire system, ecosystem. We need to have a permanent space in the system, in politics, in governance, in corporate world, in every strata of society. So I think that what is most urgent for me right now is for women and men together to push for that gender parity that is most needed.
What is the how, though? Because I'm listening to you and I know that you've said a lot of we need to. What is the how? Because I want us to drill it down just slightly further.
How is the men taking over these conversations? This thing we're doing, men should be doing it. Where they are talking about the importance of ensuring that the women counterparts are part of this movement. You see, we want it, but they also must want it as much as we have. So the how is every spouse, every father, every brother, every uncle must see the importance in the need for a woman to be part of the conversation and part of the process. When we do that, when they do that, we begin to see real changes. Because sometimes like we're fighting on our own end, but we need the men to join us in this battle. That's how I see it.
What about the media, though? You think they should be playing a more pivotal role?
I do think so. But you see, sometimes media can be... there's so much media can do. So because people always believe that as the fourth estate, we have a responsibility, yes, to shape ideals, shape perspective. However, I think what is most important is that the cultural background must change. Our thinking, our orientation
I
must
think
change.
culture is...
It's the person who is behind the media that is going to drive the information. So there are different stations around the world. CNN is a bias. Fox is biased. Everybody's biased based on who's
based on the agenda.
So it's not first about the media. It's about who is driving the media. Who is at the end of our side. When we have the right people, right thinkers, then the media will change in the right perspective.
That's a powerful submission.
And just to add on to what she said about men, so we need actual policies and laws.
Yes.
To say, let there be 30%, 40% women. So I give an example of the governor of Kwara State. His cabinet is nearly 50%. So it's not magic, but he deliberately did it. And so if we build this, we see with CBN as well. That's why the finance sector has so many women
CEOs,
because it's mandated. So with the men coming to the table and we have their majority like in the leadership, in like politics and policy, they should be mandatory laws and regulations signed into law to enable women's representation and leadership.
Totally agree. Okay, let me turn to Falake. Falake, here, you're a powerhouse in the power sector. That sounds like a play on words. I mean, your sector is traditionally male-dominated. How do you promote diversity and inclusion? Particularly in such technical roles and leadership. How do you promote that in your sector?
Thank you very much, Tosi. Very happy to be here. So I think the first thing is, I think you mentioned, is we have to be very intentional. So in Ikeja Electric, because I'm a female leader and I'm also not an engineer, I think it's important that I showcase what is possible when you have a woman in a leadership position. So one thing we've done deliberately, that is I've done and charged the team, is to create awareness in the organization at all levels. So from the board level, management level. So we have a policy. We have set up groups that actually create that awareness amongst the women and the men. In terms of our recruitment policies, it's clear, it's there. So be very deliberate about, for example, the role profiles, the way you label the role profiles. Just change the mindset. And I, for example, I am so big on showing what a woman can do, not just because you want to be a woman. So whether it's with the regulator, whether it's with the teams internally, I'm constantly showcasing what is possible, showing the results of having a diverse team. And one of the things we've done, for example, in Ikeja Electric, we have what we call the Amazons Meet. And we meet every quarter, not just with the women internally. We have men that come and speak to us. We have external men that come and speak to our external women who are technical in their expertise, come and speak to the women that are technical. Because what we found is that even the women that are technical in the space are not confident enough to apply for senior roles. So we are deliberate about that. In terms of interviews, in terms of the anything that needs to be done, the HR team knows you're not going to give me a list that just has men. Now, you're not going to give me a list that has women because you just want to have women there. You're going to be very deliberate about who are the people that can do this job. If they haven't applied, we're going to go after them and make sure that they apply. So we're very deliberate and very intentional about it. And what we've also done is that we've partnered with what is called the Women Energy Network, which doesn't just look at the power space. And we have a segment there that looks at the power sector. And what we're doing is influencing the different sectors of the power space. I'm in the distribution company with regards to the GENCOs, with regards to the regulator, and we're pushing the agenda of why it's important to have a diverse team. So I think the first thing is be intentional. And being intentional, you then have different initiatives that you will drive to ensure that there is awareness. So in my organization, you see more women are more confident to do things because they see that as a leader, they see the results. There are 11 distribution companies in Nigeria, and the top performing distribution companies is Ikeja, Eco. Eco is headed by a woman. We make noise about this. We create awareness. So we're relevant. We're not there yet, but the key things, you need to be intentional and deliberate about encouraging all the different stakeholders to see the value of having that gender parity.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay, let me turn to Bumi now. And I know, Bumi, you are renowned for the work you do in nutrition and lifestyle. Would I call it weight management? So, I mean, personally, I've always thought about you as a renowned entrepreneur and a damn good influencer. So, no, it's true because I have followed her for a while. So in trying to come up with this program, I went to your page, I went to your profile, and the first thing I saw was, I am not an influencer, I'm an influence. And I thought, hang on, what's the difference? So can you just tell me more about that and just generally share, how you've used your platform to advance change?
Thank you so much for having me. Such an amazing time being here already. I got that from Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Look at that.
But really, I think the big difference between being an influencer, it's not to say that being an influencer is not powerful, but for me, as long as I can remember, I've always been influencing people before the catchphrase influencing.
Before it became a fad.
Or even a career.
Oh, I
right?
see.
Because people now make millions of dollars and naira off of working with brands to advertise their products. So that's an influencer who is bringing you your ROI is awareness to let people see that, okay, this is this product you can buy, this is what it does for me. But as long as I can remember, I have always been someone who has always been writing. I've been writing, I have been sharing my views, I've been sharing my thoughts. I think I was raised to be an independent thinker. I was raised to not shrink back. My mother was very adamant as you're a woman, but if there are things that you can do,
I love it.
You don't wait for anybody.
Man.
You go for the taking. You seize every opportunity. And so I think for me, why I say I'm an influence is because of the power of imagery. Most young women don't, if they can't see something, they can't see a possibility of who they can be. And I say this with all humility. I think you're right. I'm I'm a pretty dope woman.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think I'm doing well in my career, in the home front, with my children, with my spirituality. I think I'm well balanced as a person, and that's not just for some people. That's everyone has the ability to be that. But if you don't have an image of what is possible for you to achieve, then how can you?
Wow.
So for me, it's one of the reasons why I'm so big and I'm so loud on sharing my life, because it gives the girl an ability to be the same. To say, like for me, I was 24 years old when I moved to Nigeria to begin Shredder Gang, and I came to Nigeria with $200 in 2013.
Wow.
And I took this big plunge after graduating from the best university in Canada, against all odds, because everyone thought I was crazy for doing that. Why are you going to leave this degree and I'm like, I'm going to use it, right? Why are you going to leave all of this and go back to Nigeria? People are coming here because I was living in Canada. People are leaving Nigeria and they're moving to Canada. Why are you going to do this? And I just thought I have something to give. And I moved to Nigeria and I created an industry that did not exist at the age of 24.
Wow.
And it's just to show every young woman that there's so much greatness on the inside of you. You just need courage. So I love what you talked about when you're talking about, the media. And I find that, social media is big, especially for the younger generation. And so that's why I'm putting myself out there to say, these are the things that I've been able to do, and you can do it too. Don't take no for an answer. Keep going, and nothing has to give because you're going after a job or you're going after just whatever it is that you want to do. So that's what I'm using my platform to do, and I'm using my platform to shift limiting thinking. A lot of young women, maybe because of the way they were raised,
conditioning,
conditioning, culture, societal norms, and you just feel like can I really achieve anything, right? So I'm having conversations almost every day, and they call me a table breaker. I'm always breaking tables. I'm always finding trouble. Sometimes I end up on Insta blog. And
that's okay.
Yes, and so when I give my perspective, it's like, actually, this is right. Why did I not think that way? And then even if it's just two ladies or two peoples whose life is and their mindset is able to shift based off of someone you can see something differently from them, I think that's powerful. So that's why I don't stop. I keep speaking. People say, aren't you scared of maybe people trolling you or whatever? I'm like, they don't know me, I don't know them. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
We move.
It doesn't matter. I had goosebumps when you were speaking. Thank you for that. Ladies, this is what this conversation is about. What you all just shared, what you're using your platforms for. And that's why I wanted those, just for context, to establish that first. Now, what I'm going to do with this conversation moving forward is just to allow you to tell stories freely, okay? Because I know that women, girls, ladies, whatever you want to call us, this gender, we all have pressing issues. And there's so many that we can decide to tackle. We will tackle as many as we can, in this conversation. If we have to do a repeat, we will. Okay? Let's start with collaboration. I'm taking you first, J Booms. Now, people like to think that, this whole women supporting women business, it's a lie, it's deceitful, it's not genuine. People talk about men being the ultimate collaborators. We just like to compete. Can you speak to successful collaborations and the possibilities? And if it is true that we all like to attack it, also say it. Let's admit it. This is
not all of us.
This is an open combo. Let's speak truth. Let's have a conversation on collaboration.
Thank you for that question. I think it's so important. I think that there are two sides of a coin. I think that there's some women who, and it's again because of limiting beliefs, because you feel that if I maybe collaborate with you or whatever, and then we get to share the glory. So people just want to be the star, right? But to show that everyone has a piece of the pie. And if I'm succeeding, it's taking nothing from your quota, right? But I want to put myself as an example of a woman who collaborates all the time, especially even with my influence. There are so many women who I see myself as a voice for female-owned businesses. And using my influence for them. There's so many people, so many women that I showcase their business all the time who don't pay me a dime.
Wow.
Who don't pay me a dime. I find them, I find maybe their clothing or household item or something that they're selling, maybe a course or something, and I see and I think it's brilliant. And I say, this is someone that I'm going to showcase. And I do it with all the strength in my being that people actually think that I'm being paid for it. Because it's actually, one of the things I do is I share very organically. Yes. So just a couple of weeks ago, somebody said to me, how did you, is this person your cousin? She was talking about a business that I influence for quite often. And I'm like, no. I'm like, why would you think she's my cousin? She's like, I don't know. You just influence with so much passion for this person. I'm like, no, I met her on Instagram. I found her through an Instagram ad and I tried out her business and I loved it. And since then, I've been an evangelist. So I think it depends on you as a person and knowing that, and your self-esteem and knowing that I'm complete in myself. I don't need to compete with anybody because I have my own mandate in life. Everyone has their own lane. And if you're comfortable in that, you find that there's more seats for all of us and we're all getting to the top together. It's not that, oh, I'm going and then I'm leaving this person. And I think that also for me, I find that a lot of women just need that boost for their businesses. And so it's what I try to do all the time. So will I say that but more women are collaborating? I've had lots, especially even with Strata Gang. 90% of my clientele are women. And the word of mouth that I have received over the last 12 years, about to be 12 years next month, from gracious women who just tell the story of this woman who helped change my life, XYZ. And there are people who even say, I'm going to pay for 10 people next month. Do a giveaway on your page and, just give away because I want women to be healthy. So there are women who support other women. I think there are more women who support women. But we love bad stories.
We love sensational stories, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we love to
So that's what people
stories.
perpetuate all the time by saying women don't support women.
Interestingly, when I started the show, at the time when you started, there was nothing like that on Nigerian television. And when I tried to propose and give the proposal to my boss at the time, I was like, women, you want to just put women to be talking on what do you want to talk about?
Imagine that.
So he saw the passion in me. And one of the other directors said, don't mind them, they will soon fight. It's not women. The show will not last. Let's just give them, Maria will not let you rest. Give her, let her do it. They will soon fight. The show will soon end. And they were so sure that because you're going to gather women together to work together. How is that possible? For 12 years in May. Wow. Yes, there's been rancor, there are issues here and there, but we manage, and I always remind myself, I am the rallying point. If you can ensure you make this stable, every other person alliance, and we've maintained that alliance for 12 years. So it's something that I'm really proud of, and I think that women can collaborate, we can work together if we choose to.
Yeah. And please, based on what you said, it's a narrative that's being pushed about women. It's conscious and unconscious, right? The rancor you spoke about would happen normally where you have two individuals,
regardless of
male
if it was
or female.
exactly.
Why are you labeling the women?
Exactly.
It's a narrative that needs to change.
Absolutely.
Because people have difference in opinions and they can
disagree, agree to disagree.
Yeah, so it's not a female thing. It's a human being thing.
Wow, I love the way you put that. It's
absolutely.
a human thing. Yes. So we should stop this whole narrative. And I think we women, we need to help ourselves by not even perpetuating it further. It's a bit annoying,
Annoying.
Okay.
I will add one thing though.
Please do.
I think that some women, and you see this often in sort of like the younger, older dynamics, want a woman to support her just because.
Explain that. I need to understand.
So, for example, I hire someone to work at my organization, and they're faffing around at work.
I'll fire you.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Absolutely. Sorry if that wasn't for I literally will fire you.
Or I ask you to deliver on a program or a project and you don't. And you think
because you're a woman. Oh no.
So you need to, I think the caveat for me there is women also, no matter like the age, make sure you are competent, not just baseline competence.
Yes.
Make sure you are excellent at what you're doing. Don't go to a woman to support you just say, oh, because I'm a woman. Because she's going to face the battle. You know when they say, when a woman fails, they say all women.
Exactly.
They don't isolate. So excellence and competence is, we should make that the baseline. Right. So I just wanted to chime because, these conversations.
That was a very important contribution. Very important. Okay. Let's move on to the second thing I want us to talk about. This, this part of the conversation. And for I'm going to put this to you, and probably because I know you personally, and I know that I know that you are constantly struggling to remain flakes. I've known you for 20 years. You want to remain flaky baby, beautiful girl. But at the end of the day, she is beautiful. But at the end of the day, you are CEO of one of the biggest, if not the biggest, electricity distribution company in Nigeria.
Sub-Saharan.
Sorry?
Sub-Saharan.
Sub-Saharan. I'm so sorry about that. Stand corrected. I agree. So, on the one hand, do you have to prove, your credibility to anyone? But on the other hand, how do you stay vulnerable, grounded? How do you, just keep it?
That's a very interesting question because 5 years ago.
And just to interrupt you, I want you to use your own story to also speak to that issue of, success and remaining vulnerable.
So 5 years ago, I was made the CEO. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I was worthy. And I remember having a conversation with, and that's the imposter syndrome thing. And I remember having a conversation with Ms. Awushika. She's my mentor.
She's all our mentor.
Yeah.
Mrs. A,
she's my mentor.
She had the mic now.
Yeah. And I remember her, we had a 30-minute conversation and I said to her, she said, what do you want me to do? And I said, I have the appointment to this role. And I was going on about how I don't think I could do it. And she said that you spent 30 minutes selling why you are not the right person for the job. Did you realize that's what you just did? And I looked at her like, no. And she said, you need to go and think about why your bosses appointed you for the job, and then come back and have a conversation. And I really had a aha moment there because, and I'm being vulnerable here.
Of course.
Because then I had to remind myself about, I worked in Ghana for 3 years. It was crazy. I was coming home.
We all thought you were crazy.
Every week. I didn't even see that, right? And I'm sharing this is me being vulnerable as well.
Yes.
That even though people see this person now that done this job for 5 years, I didn't even think I was capable of doing the job. And it took another person to look at me and say, I know your bosses. They're businessmen, like you said. They're here to make money. If they didn't think you had what it took, they won't put you there.
Wow.
So first thing is that, also send a message that, look, let's check ourselves. We are enough. I think for me, you were spot on when you said that. So 5 years has gone now, and I have I've evolved to really understanding who Flakes is. And with Flakes, I really want to be successful in my career. I want to make a difference in this power space. And when they're talking about power, they must call my name. So
and they are already calling your name.
That is important to me. I want to be a stunning, glamorous woman. I've always wanted to. I love fashion. So that is not going to change just because I'm a boss lady. Right? Yes. Powerful. And so I'm very intentional, you know that, to say, about being together.
Yes.
Despite my busy schedule. I'm a lover girl. I'm a lover girl. And the truth is that my success today could not have happened apart from God, of course, if I didn't have the sort of husband I have. So I am big on, nurturing that relationship. And I don't apologize about it. And so I'm very intentional and deliberate about that. And going to the mom, I'm a friend. All of those things are important to me. So is it easy? No, it's not. But I'm very clear about my non-negotiables. And I think I just kind of listed them to you. So I understand the essence of why I'm here. God is my essence, so I don't play with it. So I loved when Pumi said she's very spiritual.
She's Madam Faith.
I am.
She is.
So very spiritual. The importance of community is key. I spoke about Mrs. A. How did I know Mrs. A? Tara, Tosin. Look, you can't succeed without your friends, your community. You can't. So I can cry to them. I can be like, guys, I'm failing. Public speaking was not my thing, right? This is one of my coaches here. Like, what do you mean? You can, So what am I trying to say is that when we spoke about courage, every single thing that you see today, and I think every woman that is here, is we've done it afraid. I started by saying I couldn't do the job. It's 5 years down
5
the
years down
line.
the line.
Yes.
And we definitely celebrating the anniversary.
Absolutely. You know, and as I sat here, as Mary was talking, I was thinking that even at this point, I'm still getting lectured. So I was checking on that. You're still struggling here. That's me being vulnerable. Oh,
Yes.
Bumi, thank you for ministering to me there. The flakes, you are enough. You are enough. So I'm going to stop there. What I just wanted to show there is that, look, we're all afraid. We're not 100% confident, but we're courageous. We show up because we know that there's a purpose and the reason why we're here. And I want to fulfill that purpose, not just in my career, in my family's life, in my children's life, in my husband's life, in my friend's life. I want to make a difference, you know. And so that's what drives me.
That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing, Felix. Because I do know I put you on the spot there. Because these are things I already know. But I want other people to hear it. You know, it's so powerful when you see the other side of people. So she's my friend. We move around a lot. And you see the people in awe when they see the big CEO. But because you know people, you know that they have fears as well. So I knew I was going to put you on the spot like that. So thank you for sharing. Well done. Okay. My next topic. And Francesca, I'm coming to you for that. So I want us to talk about mentorship. Mentorship it's a thing that people bandy around all the time. You know, you need to get a mentor. You need to get a sponsor. Well, ever so often, you actually hear about relationships going bad, mentorship relationships. There's even now a term called toxic mentorship. I want you to speak to this mentorship business. Like, do we all really need it? You know, are the mentors expecting deference when their mentees become successful? Are mentees expecting their mentors to be their parents? Because sometimes, even in my office here, I'm like, let me tell you girls, I tell you, there are times I'm like trying to coach. You know, you want to be the business leader, which is, listen, we're here to generate revenue. Yeah. What are your goals? What are your targets? Have you met them? But you also know that sometimes you have to come down and listen to other things that are not necessarily related to the goal you're pursuing. But sometimes I find myself saying, am I your mommy? Am I your mommy?
I can so see you doing that.
Am I your mommy? Don't kill me. Sometimes they know me here. I even go to local parliament. What for me? You want to kill me in this office?
Yeah, their mommy.
Because I cannot come and die. Please, Francesca, tackle this topic for us. I know people want to hear you. Tell me.
So, I think it's a very deep, layered texture topic. But I'll start with my own experience. Almost 20 years ago, I was interviewing at an oil and gas company. I didn't want the job, but my then boyfriend had spoken to someone to say, give her an interview. So I had to go, but I didn't want it. And so in the dress code, they had written, wear a suit. I think they wrote black or something. I don't have anything black. So I said, okay. So I wore a yellow dress. Because I was like, I'm not going to get this. I want to scatter this. So I go in and they're like, oh, it's, I said, well, this is what I have. Yeah. So I did the interviews and I went in. I was like third. I was the final person. So I go in and then we start having, it wasn't an interview, it was a conversation. So they liked me. I was like, okay, this thing is not quite working out. Then they were like, we want to offer you the job on the spot.
I love it.
So they then say, how much should you, what are your salary expectations? And I just quoted something in my head that I thought, and so they were like, okay, we'll come back to you. This interview was somewhere in VI. I hadn't reached like the junction and my phone rang and I picked it up. And it was the head of corporate communications at Forte Oil in Kirolumide Ojo. She said, hello, Francesca. I said, hello, ma. She said, can you come to my office tomorrow? I said, sure, ma. So I went the next day. So she said, please sit down. Do you have a mentor? I said, no. She said, okay. You need guidance in this life. And that's how she said it. And she was like, this is an oil company.
Yes.
They ask you what your salary expectations are. You didn't prepare? I said, oh God, I'll be a mentor.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
I state that because at that point, I didn't know I needed a mentor. I was just moving in this world.
Yeah.
But she saw something. She saw that I was rough around the edges, but she saw something. I didn't get the job, because I think they're just so disappointed. They're like, this bright person, there might be a disconnect here. But from there, all of sort of like my career decisions, when I went to Uber, I didn't want to go to Uber. She was like, no, you must take it. I said, no, you know where I am? How many dollars? And this comes, she said, it will be good for you. She's spiritual, she's Christian. So I go to her with everything. Prayer. So it's well-rounded. Now, have we evolved?
Absolutely.
Yes, we have. Is there a mutual respect? There is. I don't just call her and say, so there's still that honor. Has it always been easy? No. There are times, I remember one time I shaved my hair and she said, I think this is a cry for help. And I said, no, so my point is, sometimes there's no sort of like straight-laced way to get a mentor. Sometimes you get to a person and say, I want you to be a mentor. Sometimes the mentor finds you. Sometimes you don't call it anything. Sometimes it happens organically. There's no framework to it. Now, I would personally advise, I don't think going to meet someone to say, please, I want you to be my mentor, because it seems transactional.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems that you want to take something without giving. So begin to, what I always advise young people, build relationships. Email the person on LinkedIn. I saw this article. These are the 3 things that resonated. I saw your interview. And begin to build from there. Now, the issue that you've spoken about, does it can become toxic. Because again, first of all, baseline, we're humans. You also have to understand that there are power dynamics in mentor-mentee relationships. There's often someone who is like, and there's someone who is coming up. Now, it's important for the mentor to recognize that growth is happening. Where people say you'll be officer today, no mean say you're not going to be MD tomorrow. So that your mentee isn't always going to be in that spot. If they were washing your plates before, they can't continue doing that. So there has to be this flexibility, humanity, understanding, and sometimes it doesn't always work. So when you find that it's becoming toxic, you have the permission to exit the conversation. But like she said, I think I don't know that I would have, some of the moves I've made, some of the things that I've achieved, I don't know that I would have had clarity without my mentors, including peer mentors. So a lot of the time we think of...
Exactly, very true.
Yes. But my peers, my closest peer mentors...
Even younger ones, for like you're saying, even younger people. You can be inspired by younger people. I'm inspired by you.
Yeah. My closest peer mentors are men. They're all men.
I see.
So I'm like, I don't think I can. They're like, actually, ask for a vice presidential role. I'm like, no, I wanted that. No. And ask for more money. So they help you. So you are just looking like this. They see around. 100%. So I think mentoring and mentorship is important, but it's such you have to do it carefully, thoughtfully, prayerfully. And let God guide.
Interestingly, I'm embarrassed to say that I've never really had a mentor.
All your life?
All my life. And it's because my line of career has been quite difficult to find a mentor. When we started off, there was really nobody on television doing what we were doing. And although I wanted to reach out to a few people, then when you're in your greenhorn, nobody wants to talk to you. Like, let's even see if she's going to be successful. Now, once you become successful, people are already scared of it. I mean, she doesn't need a mentor. She's already sorted. So it's hard to approach people. You approach people and you're just wondering, why is she coming to me? She already knows what she's doing. Like, you're fine. So it's been very difficult shopping for a mentor for many years. But as you said, peer mentors, I've been inspired by my colleagues. I've been inspired with a few friends that's helped me to move to the next phase. That person ahead of me that helped me to guide me to the next phase, it's been tough getting a mentor. So it's fine.
And the way I was alarmed when you said you never had a mentor.
Yeah.
And I've never had a mentor. But what I do, let me tell you what I do.
But you don't know. Remember what she said?
Yes.
A mentor can be formal and it can be
informal. Yeah. Because what I've done is...
Should I tell you, Dr. Show?
Oh, is that what you mean by, my former boss, right?
So they're different.
Got you.
They're different mentors.
So let me tell you, Sabrina was my former...
Yes,
it doesn't necessarily have to be...
Maybe because I call him my daddy, so...
It can be formal. I speak about young people. And it's not necessarily somebody that is older or higher. A mentor is inspiring you to be better. If it's a younger person or a team member that is good, for example, with influence,
Yes.
The person can, we call reverse mentoring. I have experience that I can impact, they can also impact me. It doesn't have to be formal, but we're actually mentoring each other.
But some people, it's just even by the example of their life and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about my former boss, it's the example of his life. Even before I had access to him.
You.
Okay.
Yes.
I love
And
having your friend here.
Oh,
It's so great.
to juggle my memory.
I wanted to jump in there to say that because I feel like now, like, maybe I'm the youngest person here.
It looks like.
Yes. So I can talk for the, myself and under.
Yes.
It's like they feel like it's a rite of passage. And they're looking for certain people to be their mentors.
So they will even be selective.
Oh yes, they're very selective.
Oh, wow.
They're very selective.
Some people will qualify, some people won't qualify.
Yes, because again, it's not really about for them. It's not really about mentorship. They want to be associated.
So
I want to be associated with you.
So that's why they always pursue you for like.
I like how I'm now perceived because I'm associated with you.
And
that's why they also fall into bad hands, right? Where you find that I've heard that mentor is slapping you, right?
Okay.
Yes.
You need to tell me about that one.
Mentor.
Honestly, tell us about it. Okay, but tell us the situation.
Right, like you might imagine, or let's say you have a mentor and something happens and you share and the person is like so toxic about it, talking down on you, just
gives you a dirty
basically no, this is another scenario.
Oh, okay.
Like, for lack of a better word, shitting on you on how a horrible person you are and whatnot. And then after the person now says, "Oh, here, I bought you an iPhone."
Wow.
No.
Right? This is happening in today's world. This is happening with, people that I have come in contact with, right? And so I think that it's very important to, yes, have close mentors and peer mentors, but sometimes like you can have a mentor who through their books, through their videos, right? And you find this person and you say, this person speaks to me. There's some people who I see are my mentors. I don't have any close mentor based off of my own life and what I'm doing. But I have mentors that I read their books. I watch every single thing that they have on YouTube. If they have a paid course or something, I'm going to take it, right? So I think that for the next generation, for the younger ones, Gen Z, like, we have to be a bit careful with who and why. Why do you want this person to be your mentor? Like what you said, it has to be organic. The people that come up to me, "Oh, J Booms, can you be my mentor?" My man, I'm like, why?
And how?
Do you understand? Like,
how many people can you mentor? And
I'm just like, yeah, I can tell that you probably do need the thing, but then we didn't meet. It's not organic. It just seems like I'm trying to, so I love it when it just happens. That's the easiest way we flow. And you also bring something to the table as well. And that's why I tell my mentees as well, is that it's not only like, how we look at it is we both have access to one another. You have access to me, I have access to you. There's mutual respect. Fantastic. So it's not top down where, I now talk to you and say, because I'm doing this for you.
So that would now be like a servant-master relationship.
But that's how it is. And that's why most times people, especially young people, it's like they break in also in a family structure where you've not been taught as a child what it means to be a human being. The things that you're supposed to be raised, the values, you don't have them. That's why you say, "Am I your mommy?" Because your mommy did not teach you.
Look at that.
Your mommy didn't teach you. So then you're in the workplace and you can't even control your emotions because you were never taught how to. Your household, they can't control emotions. They just outburst or there's, and you're wondering, why are you behaving like this? Because you were not taught from your home. So most of the time they're approaching mentors. They're really looking for parents.
Yeah. It's honestly, because this is what she just described is reality. And I don't know if that happens in corporate organizations. Maybe they do it to us because they know we're small entrepreneurs. They can come here and be babies.
Different
perspective. Tell me.
So maybe because I believe in purpose, right? And then anyone that's in my life, there's a reason why they're there.
Okay.
So
even if they terrorize you?
That's part of also the training, right? For even you.
Okay.
So I have something. Maybe my values are right? Or I had the opportunity of being raised by a mother that instilled the right values. Another person hasn't had that opportunity. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. If God has placed them in my environment, it is my responsibility. Now, I don't have to kill myself. I see it as part of my own purpose to influence and mentor and guide. And without me...
Over what period?
Whatever period. And I'm not going to...
But not a forever situation.
So it's not going to be like... That's why you're teaching, right?
Yes.
If I'm teaching you, I'm impacting. So that means there will be improvement.
Okay.
So if you're working,
Just checking how you measure, because I'm also trying to learn, right? So checking how you measure, and when you finally say enough is enough.
Because remember, so if I flip it on you as my friend,
Yes.
you can tell that stickler for excellence, very little patience. If she's mentoring something that is below standard, her patience should be taught patience too, right?
Mhm.
So it's two ways.
I need the training.
So, so that's the point. So I see it as I'm not going to kill myself, but if you're my line report, part of me managing you to achieve the business goal is also to develop you. It's part of my own responsibility as a leader and part of my purpose. Because I don't believe that people are thrown in my life or in my space by accident. For no reason. So that's how I approach it.
That's a very great angle to it. Okay, we've stayed on mentorship for a while. Can we go to something else? And I'm coming to you for that, Mariah. There's a reason I come to you. And I come in peace. I come in peace. Because I know this lady here, in addition to running a leading media conglomerate, this woman has 4 pickings, as we say in local parlance, in her. 4 children. 4. Me, I have 3. And I thought that was a very big number. Oh, she has twins. Now, I bring up this balance question, not because we've heard it a million times, but I feel like it's still a very important topic to address. No matter how many times we speak about balance, you'll still find one girl somewhere that says, how do you do it all? Can you, share something?
Honestly, I think life is in phases. Before I got married, I used to talk about mentorship earlier. My boss told me, you can wake up at 2. Tomorrow, we're going to Paris tomorrow. Please get ready. And from Paris, like, okay, we're off to the US now. To the UK, not US, UK. And we're going to Kenya. I was everywhere with him because we were buying content for markets, for high TV at the time. When I got married, I knew that, okay, marriage had come. And all that had to slow down a bit. So I know that when kids come, things kind of readjust, and that's the reality. Now, I was intentional about making sure my house was closest to my office. So my house was 5 minutes from my office. That was intentional. It was deliberate. In fact, we're driving around my office. Please, let's find a house. Finally got one, and it was intentional. Now, when the kids now got to the point where they needed me, I resigned from TVC at 2019 because I wanted to focus on the children. But that was a bad idea because I got even more busy. You have your time to yourself. You're doing more things. So I think what really helped me to get my life together was the support system I was able to create. My mother-in-law and grandmother-in-law live with me. Now, I get a lot of, how come? Well, that's a different conversation. But them being in the house, of course, I got 2 additional helps because I know I can't be cooking for 2 adults and my husband and 4 children. So I got 2 helps to kind of organize the house. So I had a good, strong support system in the house. So I was able to do my work without worrying so much about the kids being alone. Their food was okay. I was able to make myself available for school activities. So, and I also had a husband who had a flexible work schedule. So yes, he didn't have a 9 to 5, but he was doing other things. So he was available to the house. So I think that's what helped me. And that support system has really helped me to keep myself grounded at work and also be very, very effective with the kids and raising them. Sometimes now, as the kids are getting to a different phase, now they're getting to that adolescent phase where they're like, they need you. It's harder because now my career is growing. My daughter needs me more. She's having a bit of conversations with in school. So I'm trying to create that time for her. It's not that easy, but you have to continually strive to do the best you can per time. So I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I would say that, hey, it's a journey that we'll continue to try to push forward and see the best.
And we're somehow all living that journey.
Yeah.
Right? It's
I traveled for a whole week in Dubai.
Exactly.
And now, in the past, I had a help. Now, my 2 helps have gone in December, so I have no help. Just my husband and 4 kids in the house. He wanted to go mad. He was calling, where is this Pepe? There's no sugar in this house. I said, sure. It's in the basket. I tried to go, hey, you have told us that. So, because he has no clue what's going on in the house. I used to handle everything. So I was happy. Finally, you have a clue. What I'm doing.
Honestly, we should go away more often.
Yes, no help, nothing. He was not calling his mother.
Yes.
And grandma to come and help him to make breakfast. I said, Mom, you don't answer him. We can't even ordinary school, But 1 week, he now called for a meeting. So this is your travels. We have to really discuss it.
Oh my God.
Because before I was traveling with the help in the house.
Yes.
It was help.
So you don't have one.
I don't have one now, but
because of the stage.
Yeah, but we have to get one.
I mean, I think all I can say to this whole balanced conversation is support structure. I guess that's the answer that always comes back whenever you pose the question. It just baffles me that it always comes up.
Because
that's why I thought we
can't
should talk
afford the
about.
support structure.
I see.
Others can. Some can't. Because some people, or maybe not affordability. Some husbands don't like people staying in their houses.
Okay.
Or people have issues with people staying in their houses. So when you talk about support system, you're looking for what is permissible in my home. So some homes permit certain things. Some people don't. I mean, that's where women struggle.
I do.
You keep maids.
But my husband is very hands-on.
As well. So even though he's a pilot and he flies all around.
Yes, so when he's around, he's very hands-on.
100%.
And there was a time last year where one of our nannies, she stole, so we sat her, and he was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to give his children a bath, get them ready for school, and cook their breakfast. And I was still snoozing. I wake up and I take them to school. Wow. So I think that this conversation as well, we need to, kind of channel it towards the men as well, where they take up equal responsibility in the home, to say that care is not only a woman's job, right? I have a friend who always talks about unpaid labor and the amount of unpaid labor that women, and even the cognitive load, because even though somebody else is doing it, I'm still thinking about. So you're saying we have nannies, yes, you have people, but you're still the one that's thinking about.
Of course,
this needs to be bossed. This and it's still a load. So I think that men really need to step up the plate, and that's why I tell young women all the time. Better ask these questions before you get married.
It's true.
It's all about the ideology. How do you think? Like, do you think that it's your place to say, I'm helping my wife? You're not helping me. This is your child.
It is, honestly, right? It is your house.
It's your child.
Is this Gen Z thinking?
But I'm millennial. I'm millennial.
Because every time I say this, and I'm not even millennial or Gen Z or whatever classification is used, but every time I say it's co-created. Like, people think I'm being feminine. I don't even like labels, so I don't like feminist or anything. It's not about that. It's just about, as human beings, let's all co-create, let's all help each other. How can that be too much to ask?
So long as it's two-way. What I find sometimes is that the women want that for the men, but the women are not also willing to do the same. So
Tell me.
So if you want someone to support you and help you, are you supporting them as well?
Are you talking about in terms of contributing to the bottom line?
Financially, mentally, it's not one way. It's not entitlement. We are in a relationship.
Yes.
We have a home. Right? What works? How can I bring value? How can you bring value so that we can achieve the objective that we want?
The common goal.
So it's both of us. It's not only me because I'm female and weak. No.
Yes.
So I find that sometimes the women like, you should do this. You should say, then I ask them, so what are you doing? What are you doing that the man says, oh man, this value? And you find that sometimes women are quiet. So I just want it to be balanced, like you said. As they're doing, you also have to.
That makes sense. Okay, there are 4 other topics, and I know we're fast running out of time that I wanted us to touch on. But I'll spread it out and let you guys take it one after the other. I want us to talk about health awareness. I mean, just yesterday, a young lady died at the age of 42. The reason why I even bring it up is because she's so well known and it seems to be on all blogs. And I'm thinking, health. You know this whole phrase, health is wealth. It becomes real when things like that happen. Just a quick statement on.
I think that this is the forefront of why I do what I do. So as much as the Strata Gang leads with weight loss, which is a big part of the health, anyways. But I always tell the women who come to me that this is when you come to me. It's not about a number on the scale. It's about you being healthier and happier. Get a physical. Like some of them, they come to me with different things, and I say, go and get a checkup, and then send us go and get a physical, and then send us the results. Let's see what is saying. And I think just as women, we need to be selfish with ourselves, with our time, with our health, because at the end of the day, life moves on.
It does,
right? It moves on, and you hear too much these days. There's so much that's changing, even in our food, and endocrine disruptors, different things that we're just dealing with, over-tilling of the soil. So the food that I was eating growing up, it's not the same food that my children are eating now. And so we have to be so deliberate about what we eat, when we eat, how we eat, the pots that we cook in,
Yes.
the type of water we drink, everything that goes into our bodies. Like, we need to be very, very
What
serious
did you
about
do?
it.
Pots that we cook
I'm thinking about
They have this thing where I think it was you that exactly. I don't use a non-stick pot. I was like, so what should I do with all the pots in my
So
house?
you throw them away.
Oh my
Even
God.
plastic, even microwaves.
Lord
Like,
have
this
mercy.
is a
I
whole
know.
Honestly,
the whole
I look at
conversation.
my grandmother-in-law. She's 100 years old. I don't think she was using this titanium pot, and she's alive and
But she
well.
was using clay pots.
But this
Yes.
She was using
she was not
clay
using
pots. She was not
non-stick.
using
And
non-stick.
she have a microwave.
Exactly. Right?
Oh
And
my
then
word.
And then she
food
probably
was fresh.
Exactly, and probably still
Wow.
fresh. She probably eats as very
No,
healthy.
but throw the pots away.
No, but in
But
the
I'm
last
not-
30
I'm not
years, she's
Roman
about
yet.
20 years. She's been living with children, so I don't think she's... Anyway, I hear you, Shaya.
Mariah, save the pots.
Please. So I keep
God.
telling women all the time, take your time to take care of yourself. Work out. Eat right. Because, I mean...
I've just started the journey. I've lost a few kgs.
Quiet.
Let me come to, and I think that was for like I wanted to come to on investment. Say a thing about investment.
Well, you know I'm big on that.
I know. That's why I know what I mean.
And I'm big on it because I think, not just for women, I think it's important that you plan for your future. Because you're not always going to be able to earn.
Yeah.
And so you have to plan for it. And it doesn't happen by chance. And there's so many investment platforms, opportunities. So I always encourage people that whatever life you're living now, if you don't plan for it, you're going to be unhappy, like you rightly said. So if you like to travel, if you like the nice holidays,
I do.
Don't we all?
plan for it. I mean, went to Dubai. I was telling my friend Tara, my hotel is the return on my investment. I pay for the hotel, the ticket, everything. So my
Alright.
capital is still in place. Why? But I didn't get here, so let me not come and talk as if I'm an expert. I used to be really financially indisciplined. And I went through a rough patch because I thought I'd always have cash. And that rough patch taught me. So I think it was God teaching me
Wake up
early
call.
that you won't always be liquid. And I couldn't do the things that I was used to doing. And that changed everything for me. And then started to plan for my future. So investment. I've been looking at two things.
Fantastic.
Investment is important, is key. It's better than savings. You must invest. If
She's
you
always
save-
harassing me for just keeping
No,
money.
you must invest. Don't put cash down. You must invest. Minimum.
Yes.
I mean, my kids know it. Even children have to know that from their money. Put 10% aside. Put 20% aside. Compound it. If just compound it, you will not regret it. I mean, I can retire at 60. I always tell people, think about it. If you lose your job today, either by your choice or you decide that they give you BS and you want to walk away, can you survive on
5 years.
a year on doing what you do today? If you can't,
There's a problem.
there is a problem.
Great stuff.
I
Mariah,
thought, I can't survive with
you
that.
can't. So that's a solid food for thought,
Yes.
right? Okay, male allies. What do you think? How do we, how important are they? How do we acquire male allies?
I really do. Honestly, I think male allies are extremely important because the truth is that I always believe that two is better than one, and not just two of the same type, two of a different kind. Because one of the things about myself and my husband is that he's very different from me. Like, we're totally different. But I think he helps me in areas where I'm unable to help myself.
Okay.
So I think across board, not just in spouse, in family, in at work, with colleagues, it's important for you to have male allies because the truth is that there's certain things men do that we don't have we're not privy to because there are certain decisions they make and they have better information in some areas. We have better information in other areas. But I think when we come together, male allies are extremely important for our growth, for our strength, and for also our financial independence. So in my own career in the media, there are a lot of men who are running media companies in our country, and there haven't been too many female at the time when we started. But a lot of men held my own hand. As I said earlier, Tony Subara held my hand very tightly. And I think for the first time, I'm acknowledging he was my mentor. You know, I said I didn't have a mentor. And I think from this conversation, I realized no,
He wasn't.
he actually held my hand. There are people like Chris Obosi, so many people were men who mentored me so much. So I think it's important for us to realize that men are allies. They're not our We're not when
They're not adversaries.
They're not adversaries. They
They're not-
are allies in ways. Yeah.
Fantastic. And there's one last topic before I ask you guys a general question to close. And it's been on the front burner every conversation in Nigeria. Sexual harassment. Francesca.
Hey, Natasha.
This I wasn't planning to call anybody. Mic drop. Because honestly, and I want us to weigh this topic very carefully. Now, and in the current, the existing one, how do you prove that you're sexually harassed? Are we meant to be should we be carrying cameras on our chest to see it as it happens, online, real time? Because I don't know. I feel like, I wasn't going to comment on it, honestly. I don't want to comment. Let me let you talk. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'll share a quick story.
Mm.
When I was 12 years old in boarding school, one night, we were all having like a conversation after prep. And someone said, someone asked this question, how many of you have been touched inappropriately? We're about 12 girls in a circle. We all raised up our hands. And someone said, how many times have you been touched inappropriately more than once? We all raised our hands. And the number kept going up. More than twice, thrice, 6.
Wow.
All our hands went up. So before we talk about sexual harassment, can we acknowledge that we have a culture problem?
Absolutely.
Mic drop. I'm ready for this.
We have a culture problem. The men who touch women inappropriately, they're not outsiders.
Yes.
They're all around us.
It's inside.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And so I think if we start, asking how we can prove, we have gone steps ahead.
Far.
We need to dismantle that problem. Where culturally it's okay. And we asked ourselves this question again. We said, someone said, I told my mom she beats me. Someone said I was ashamed. So we bear the shame.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't share my experience till I was dating someone when I was 23. And he touched me in a way one day. And I started crying. And I was hyperventilating. And he was like,
what happened?
And I was like,
oh my God.
Just go away. And he was like, what's why this? And I was like, just go. And then I told him. So we have a culture that is permissive of harming and disrespecting women. Let's start there. We're women now, but we're all girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even in the homes that we live in, the daughters we have, the sisters we have we created a place where they feel free to be like, this happened? Are we creating places where men... It happens within the homestead.
Absolutely.
And this is not a men against women, because people say not all men, but it is a man.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need to begin to look not just at girls as girls, but girls as women. So let's use the Natasha situation.
Yes.
I'm a Nigerian girl. I was touched inappropriately more than once. All aged under 6. So I wasn't wearing, it wasn't what did she wear. It wasn't where did she go.
Yes.
So imagine that Natasha had experienced some of this growing up as a teenager.
Yes.
Then she's now experiencing it again
In
the
Senate.
highest echelon of power.
Yes.
But the world is saying, you prove it. Let's sit with that for a while. If you were in her shoes, how would you feel?
That's why I asked, are women to be carrying cameras around?
Because it's like, I've been going through this all my life. Why is it me? Why don't you believe me?
Yes.
Now, I'm like, believe women. I believe that there are caveats there, but please believe women.
Okay, so the flip side is some women then use it as a weapon.
I agree.
So that's the flip side.
I agree. But you know, 9 times out of 10, again, if you do this, when we were done, do this with your friends and say, how many of you were touched?
I might err on the side of caution too, because honestly, I agree with you. I had 2 stories. When I got back from the US, I had lost my memory. I had an accident in the US, so I had lost a bit of my memory as a child. Even till now, I don't have that memory anymore. So when I came home, there was a party, a family party, and there's a particular guy I saw. I don't remember what the guy did to me. I don't remember anything. I began to tremble just by the sight of him. I was shaking, and I didn't understand why I was shaking.
Yes.
But the memory of whatever it is,
Picked it.
it was there. So just like you said, we all have those stories.
Yes.
Until today, I can't remember nothing. And also, when I was in my earlier days in the career, the celebrity, I've already told him his name after this show. He came to the office, saw me, and put his hand. He was just moved by this thing in front of me, like, because he's
right
rather
there.
short. Yeah, he's short. And I'm taller than him. He came and he was just shocked that this thing is in front of him, just like this.
Oh my God.
Hey.
And I was like,
Imagine
I was just in shock.
Stunned.
And I was like, okay. Nobody said anything. I was like, my boss said, okay, so he's just a guy.
Because
I never forgot that moment. Like, I couldn't talk about it. He's a guy.
yes.
So because he's a guy, he's allowed to do that.
Yes.
And
In the
nothing
banks,
happened.
you have bosses
You're
slapping
right.
people on their
And
bosses.
so it's a normative,
Even in church now.
even
Even in church, look
it's
at
a
that.
behavior that we've normalized.
Nice.
And so we have to start there. We have to, as women,
Define
as
what-
sisters, as mothers, we have to create safe spaces for our daughters. We have to tell our sons. We have to teach them about consent.
Limits.
We have to teach them about respect.
Mm.
And it comes from thoughts. I have like a friend's son. When I see his face, I'll be like, don't do that. Whatever it is you're thinking. Don't do everything that you're thinking. We have to teach men that. And more importantly, there have to be repercussions. I don't like the US a lot, but if this happened in the US, the Senate president might have been suspended.
Of course.
Exactly. Like, step back.
They would have been like,
Step back.
Let's have an
let's
investigation.
Let's
have an
investigate.
And to say this thing you say about,
Wow.
I agree with this culture thing. I remember when my kids went to the US first. They were in grade 11 and 12. I remember that they had a whole class, I think, for like 2 weeks. Because they're not, even though they're born in the US, they're not, they had a session with them, teaching them about consent. No, about this sexual harassment.
Yes.
Because they're guys. And, I found it very, I was like, why are they taking the time? But when I think back,
Orientate.
they were
Yes.
making sure this is unacceptable. You cannot do this. So back to what she's saying.
Yes.
The woman has to know that I can speak. It's okay to speak. The men have to be taught what is appropriate and what is not appropriate.
Thank you, ladies. We're fast running out of time. But before I let you go, I want us all to end this by imagining I want us all to imagine a gender equal world. What would it look like to you? What would a gender equal world look like to you, Philip?
Close my eyes.
Close your eyes. You can close your eyes. Imagine it. Okay, Bumi wants to go first. While you're thinking about
Just
it.
something really short, to be honest.
Yes.
Just exactly what you said.
Yes.
Every individual being equal, and it's not a men's world or a women's world, but every single person having the same equal rights as
Thank you for that. You want to go, Maran? What would a gender equal world look like to you?
Highly innovative, very wealthy, because we're using both strengths. Both genders are working optimally.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be that's the real future. When you see technology advancement, you see people happy, there's joy. It means that we're harnessing the strengths of both genders in the world. So I think that's something the world will look like.
Amazing. Thank you.
I think, like, for me, it would be access, opportunity, and inclusion. Where, just like Bumi said, you can't do that because you are a
Woman.
You can't do this because you are a girl.
Yes.
That there's just equity, access, inclusion, and opportunity.
Amazing. Thank you.
And plenty money.
I was going to say that.
You
stole my tongue. Anyway, but I think it will really be a happier place.
Yes.
People are going to be more innovative, more productive, more efficient. And of course, the economy will be better. So there'll be more money and everybody will be happier.
And I think for me, I would just end that with saying a gender equal world is a world where women have a voice, are able to use it, and are not condemned for using it. A world where we can all speak our truth. And honestly, that's why conversations like this must continue to happen. When I sat down, I was like, there's a sense in which you can all just continue our day businesses, right? But sometimes you just feel led to sort of, do something. And this is that doing something.
Right.
And you ladies, honestly, I can't thank you enough. Because I know it was just a brainwave. It's not like this is a special production. So it's not like this is one of our assets. But the kind of fun I've had today, I feel like I'm going to create an asset for
Oh
this.
my God.
And you guys are the pilot. I promise you guys are the pilot. Because this is, I've had goosebumps the whole hour and a half. It's still there, it's not gone. Thank you, ladies. This has been an incredibly illuminating conversation. Your passion for developing the next generation of female leaders, very palpable. And, our struggle for equality, it belongs to us all. It's our collective effort to fight for our basic human rights that's going to move the cheese. So we must keep the conversations going. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
This has been a production of the Movement Studio.
Fantastic.
My name is Tosin Adefeko. I'm the founder CEO of AGT Resources, and we are owners of the Movement Studio. It's been a wonderful time sitting with Mariah Afalabi Brown of TVC, Bumi George, J Booms of Shredder Gang, Francesca Uriri of Leading Ladies Africa, and my powerhouse friend, Folake Shoeton of Ikeja Electric. Thank you for listening. Follow, like, share. We might be back.
Well done. Thank you.